Hello everybody and welcome to this Food for Thought tutorial on growing vegetables. My name's Kieran and I'm going to be guiding you through this journey on growing vegetables from seeds, so I hope you enjoy. You will have all received one of these packs. It's a great little pack. You'll have received some good quality gloves, I'll talk about those later. A great little booklet here. It's full of useful tips and recipes. It's well worth a read. I do stress that. You will have had loads of seeds, so we'll take a packet of seeds out of there. A nice little information leaflet on growing peas. We'll talk about those later, and also a nice little colouring in picture there for the little ones. So I'll just move these out of the way. I like these tubs. I like to keep the workplace area nice and clean and tidy, and this keeps everything contained, less chance of cross-contamination with everything. But if you haven't got one of these, don't worry about it, because all you have to do is go to your local supermarket when you're doing your weekly shopping, and instead of carrying it all home in one of those wasteful plastic carrier bags, bring a cardboard box home with you and use one of these. Just cut it to the shape. It keeps everything neat and tidy in there, and once the box gets all tatty and old, you can just cut it up and throw it into your compost bin. Cardboard makes good compost. Talking of compost, I have a nice bag of compost here. What this is it's a peat-free, locally sourced compost. You can get these from any garden centres really, or your local authorities tend to produce a nice compost as well from the waste from your green bins. But it's important to get a good compost. Before you start with the compost, always put your gloves on, because you need a good pair of gloves, good quality gloves. The reason is we're going to be using a soil-based product. And if you've got any small cuts or under your nails or anything, these little microorganisms in the soil can cause you problems. So it's always handy to have a good pair of gloves, good quality gloves for gardening with. Okay, a bit back to the compost. I like to transfer my compost into smaller bags or smaller containers, just so that I'm not having to lift heavy loads and throw them in, pull out my shoulder or hurt my back. So I'm just going to take some compost out. So if you haven't got one of these, handy milk carton, just as good. One I made from a milk carton. I like to sieve the soil. The reason I'm going to sieve it is just to break down those, break down the lumps. So if you haven't got a sieve, don't worry, use your hands. You've got your gloves on. Just sieve it. If you're using a good quality compost, there shouldn't be many lumps and debris in there, because it's a good quality. So I'm just going to sieve it. What I'm doing is I'm looking for a nice fine tilth from my soil. You'll have also had some of these plant pots. Now, I wouldn't go out and buy expensive plant pots. I would use recycled cardboard ones, old milk cartons, yoghurt pots. These are some scallions that I'm growing in some yoghurt pots. I have some peas growing in there, some lettuce growing in here. This is an old margarine tub, and this is just an old discarded coffee cup that we picked up on our round. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to fill my tray and my pot, but I'm going to overfill it. I'm going to be very generous. I'm going to overfill it. The reason I'm overfilling it with this fine soil is because I want to tap it. The reason I'm tapping it is I'm trying to reduce the air pockets inside there. We want some air pockets, but we don't want them large air pockets. If you imagine, once the seedlings have rooted and the tiny roots are coming out, they need to make contact with the soil rather than going into one of those big air pockets. If it's making good contact with the soil, it can suck up the nutrients and the moisture from the soil. If it's in an air pocket, it's just going to die off. So that's why we're doing this. You can use an old plant pot just to firm it down. Okay. That's what we're looking for, a nice seed bed. Like I say, keeping the area clean. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open up the packet, the seed packet. This is the seed packet. This is full of information, all the information you need. When to sow, when to harvest, the variety that you're sowing. But this is the most important bit, this here. This is the use by date. There's no point using old, inferior seeds. You know, there's nothing more demoralising than not having your seedlings germinate. So make sure they're in date. I always like to open them at the bottom, just a little nick in the bottom. The reason I open them in the bottom, if I was to rip the top off, I'm losing some of this information. And I don't want to use all the seeds today. You know, there's loads of seeds in there, you don't need to. You can save some for a later date. So I'm just going to open them at the bottom. Inside this packet you'll find another little envelope which has your seeds in. Here's the little envelope that I'm looking for. So I'm just going to give us a little tap so all the seeds come down to the bottom. If you hold it up, you'll see them. Just give it a tear. I'll show you these seeds. Because these are lettuce seeds, these are very tiny seeds. As you can see in there, it's very tiny these are. Just put a few on my glove. You know, they're very tiny. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to wet the compost first. I'll just put them to one side. I'm going to use my watering bottle. I don't have to buy an expensive watering can. This is just a recycled plastic bottle with some holes in the top. So I'm going to moisten the soil, get it nice and wet, dampen it all off. The reason I'm wetting the soil first is because of those tiny seeds. If I was to broadcast them onto the surface, as soon as I water it with a rose or a watering can, they could blast them all over the plant pot. But I want them to stay in the place where I put them. So I'm just going to pinch the seeds now. Just broadcast them across the top of the surface. I'm not going to sit too many here, so I'm just going to pop these back over the plant pot. Okay, seal that up. And like I say, I can put that back into the envelope and I can use that again another day. But now, I like to use vermiculite. That keeps the moisture in and the heat in, but I haven't got any, and not everybody has it to hand. So using my fine soil, I'm just going to lightly cover those seeds, just until I can't see them anymore. Give it another tap, keeping everything clean and tidy. Now, I've got all the information from that onto a little recycled lolly stick. I'm going to put that in just because all these seedlings look the same. As you can see, there's my pea shoots and my lettuce shoots, but they all look very similar, bigger, but these are very similar. So if I label them, I'm not going to forget what they are. And I've got the date on there as well that I've sown the seeds. But before I put these onto the windowsill, I want to trap that moisture inside that plant pot by covering it with a plastic bag. So I'm going to cover it with a plastic bag. These are nice bags because you can actually write all the details on the bags as well if you wanted to. Have a nice elastic band on there. Now that's all ready to go onto the windowsill. But before I put it onto the windowsill, I'm just going to show you again what I did. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill a tray. But if I was to put this into the greenhouse, this is the tray that I would use. So I would do the same as what we've just done. But I'm not going to use this tray because it's far too big to fit on my windowsill. I'm going to use a recycled pot. This had mushrooms in. So I'm just going to put plenty of drainage holes in, because once the seedlings have germinated and the roots are going down, they don't want to be sitting in water. So I'm going to put some drainage holes in there. Again, just going to pop a bit more soil in there. So I'm going to get myself some nice fine soil. Just going to riddle it a little. Just break down those lumpy bits. So just as I did with the plant pot, I'm going to fill this tray. I'm going to overfill the tray. You'll see with just a few taps how those air pockets, just the soil sinks and fills in all those little air pockets, or larger air pockets. I'm just going to take off the surplus. I'm just going to compact it just a little. I'm going to use anything to hand, an egg pot. Talking of egg pots, if you haven't got the egg compost, get yourself a tea bag. Open up a tea bag, pop your seeds in there, just give it a water, cover it in a plastic bag, put it on your windowsill. Use anything to hand. So there's my seed bed all ready for the seeds. Because they're fine seeds, again I'm going to just wet the top of this, give it a good soaking. My seed packet out. Probably need a few more. This is a larger tub. Just broadcast them on. And like I said earlier, repeating myself, just save them in your envelope for another day, seal it up. All the information is still there, intact for you. I'm just going to put these to bed, as they say. So I'm just going to give them a light covering. So just to cover all those seeds in. Okay. Keep it clean. It works out. Okay, if you haven't got any plastic bags to hand, that's fine. Use some cling film. Label in so I don't forget what I've sown. And there we have our own little propagator. You could always do exactly the same with here. We have our own little propagator here that you can see through. This is just a recycled cake tin. So I'm going to pop these into the windowsill now. So I'm going to pop them into this tray. This is a tray. You can use a sauce, so I'll just pop some water in that. What I'm doing now is I'm watering from the bottom. This is because I want to encourage them to draw the water up from the bottom. If I water them on the top every day, you'll get a green film of algae on the top, and it's not nice and it doesn't do them much good. Plus, while I'm watering every day, I'm looking for them green shoots. As soon as I see the green shoots, take the bag off. The beauty of having these in your windowsill is when you're cooking, there's nothing more satisfying than taking some herbs off or a lettuce off and put it in your cooking. But I'll leave them there in the sunlight. You've also got a pack of seeds, of pea shoots. There's some very good information on this packet. But one of the things you have to do with peas is you have to straticate the seed. So what I mean by stratificating the seed is we're having to break the seed coating down. So what I did was I soaked these peas in water overnight. I'll show you some of the peas that we've sown today. So these are the seeds or the peas before I've rehydrated them. As you can see, they're probably twice the size. These are the same peas, just been soaked overnight. So these are the ones I want. Pop those in there. So what I'm using is a recycled coffee cup. Again, plenty of holes in the bottom. Got all my holes for drainage. I'm going to overfill my plant pot again. So that's it, overfill. A couple of good taps. Take off the excess. Just firm it down. And I'm going to position where I want the peas. You can see on that one, just that's the shoot, that's what's going to send out the roots there. So I'm just going to pop that in the hole, pop it in, pop that there. A good rule of thumb is to push them down up to your knuckle. So I'm just going to pop them down. And I'm going to cover them over. Tap. Clean off the excess. Now I'm going to give these a good soaking. I could put my label in, but what I've done with my peas, I've wrote it on a piece of card because I'm going to cover them up until I see the green shoots. If you have a look here, as soon as I see those, see the shoot just growing there in the middle there, as soon as I see that little shoot forming, I'll take the cardboard off and I'll put them in the windowsill with the lettuce and stuff. So these are going to go into a dry, warm place in the dark, say an airing cupboard or something like that. But before I go, I just want to show you one more thing. There you go. As you can see there, you'll see the little green shoots just coming up, and then they will turn out like this. So from them small peas to the small shoots to bed, these are now ready for potting on. Okay, another useful information, what I want to tell you all about is how to grow other than from seeds. This is a seed, this is an avocado. So once we enjoyed the fruit of the avocado, I just placed the seed onto some water, and then as you see here we get an avocado plant. Also, what I've done is I've got some onions, so I just cut the bottom of the onion. Now this is the part of the onion that normally you would throw away into your compost heap, but if you have a look, what I've done is I've put them in water. These are some scallions, so I just put them in water. And then they see these shoots coming up, and as you can see, they've thrown out roots. So I just plant them on. And there I have 3 more onions there, all from just cutting the bottom of the onion. The part of the onion that we would normally throw into the compost heap. You can do it with carrots. As you can see, the shoots are growing there. And then here we have the carrots. This here is some lettuce. This is where I harvest the lettuce seeds from. Inside these pods is your lettuce seeds. But you do the same with anything. You know, here's a pineapple. What I've done is I've just took the top off the pineapple. I pulled the leaves off So I just pull some of these bottom leaves off. So what I'm going to get from this is, from this section here, you will see roots coming out. I'll just place that there for a second. I'm going to pop that in, and then I'm going to wait, and you'll see the roots coming from there, and this is your finished product. Thank you for watching. I hope this has been informative to you, and please give us some feedback. Have a good day. Thank you.